I don't know if you ever had a conservative mindset growing up. Maybe I did because I was literally a conservative.
What are conversations you're not going to entertain? Like people are like, I want to debate you on this. Or what are you like, nah, I'm passing.
If you're a type of minority that's been harassed by somebody, but they're really good at like keeping it kind of hidden, and you feel crazy for bringing it up, that when they have those moments where they snap, it's actually like...
Did you ever think you'd make millions of dollars?
No. Once I was in high school, I thought my life was... Well, once I got to college, actually, I thought my life was... But...
When you see that where you are now, does it feel weird?
If I reflect on it, it can, yeah. I'm super lucky that I am where I am. I'm pretty grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit of a weird thing, right? And it's a little bit taboo because people like, if you ever talk about money, folks get really weird. It's like, oh, these motherfuckers are bragging. I'll be honest with you. I'd already accepted that I was going to be poor my whole life. Or like... doing okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, same.
And so when that didn't turn out to be the case, I didn't know how to adjust. Like my lifestyle stayed the exact same apartment. In terms of my take-home salary, still $40,000. It just so happens like in saving accounts, a different look, right? But I'd struggled for so long, I just got used to it. Like I don't really need the money to like be any happier or do any other stuff. But it is a weird feeling because you can kind of feel how your circumstances are changing very rapidly and how you have to approach things differently. And I wanted to know what changed for you.
Honestly, because I'm like a big computer person, and this is just, it's kind of sad, I guess. Not too much in terms of like monetary stuff. I think if I had more expensive hobbies, maybe it would have been better for me to get pretty wealthy because then I could dump a lot of money into it, like if I collected shit or something. I think the biggest thing that changed for me was there's a couple stages. So the first one is like, not being able to pay shit is really stressful.
Yes.
Like anytime a light bulb would go out, you're like, did my electricity get shut off? Or if you wake up and like nobody's called you for a while, you're a little bit scared to turn your phone on because you're like, I don't know if my signal is gone because I didn't pay my phone bill. Or the really irrational or this doesn't make any sense, but like not wanting to check your bank account because you don't know if it's going to be negative. Those things going away feels pretty nice because they add a lot of stress to like every area of your life. Every single area of your life is negatively impacted when you have these types of financial troubles. So that disappearing was good. Go ahead.
Yeah, but don't you have to consciously think about the absence of stress? It's like hard to feel grateful for all that stuff because you have to consciously think about it to realize that you've gotten something nice.
Yeah, you acclimate instantly. Human beings acclimate to good things and bad things very quickly. People that will go crippled or quadriplegic actually have like high quality of life. They actually are okay. They're decently happy. And as a non-crippled person or non-quadriplegic person, I look at that like no fucking way, you know? Or, you know, like millionaires and billionaires, you know, don't think about their wealth as much because they're used to it, you know? Yeah, that is definitely a fact of life. And I try to stop and keep that in mind sometimes. But once you've got like all the bills covered and I can afford like my computer for my stream stuff, it's just basically like a number that grows in a bank account. I don't really think about it actively that much. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the weirdest experience you've had in regards to all this change financially?
The weirdest experience that I've had. It's going to sound so weird, but I just got over this like a year or two ago. Hey, whoa, guys, whoa. If you're on YouTube right now, we're trying desperately, okay? August is getting fired if I don't hit 400,000 subs by the 1st. So if you like August editing, if you like my editor, okay, you better subscribe and hit the bell, okay? Buying stuff because you just want to buy it. There's a weird thing where like, when you're poor, advertisements aren't for you because you can't afford anything, okay? Like if I see a commercial or an ad online, I always ignore it. It's like, I'm not gonna buy it. I can't afford shit. Why the fuck? But now I actually watch some advertisements and I'm like, so I bought like a bar of soap that I saw on like a YouTube ad. I was like, oh, this guy is a funny ad, I'll buy it. And it's like, that's like an experience that traditionally I wouldn't think to like ever watch an ad because I have the money to buy it. Like, why would I do that? And I didn't even notice that I still carry this because I've been decently wealthy for like 10 years now. So it's like kind of weird that I still carry that feeling with me. That's one kind of funny thing is buying things off of ads now. Or another weird thing that I always thought about, and I still kind of think this but although I guess maybe it's legitimate because I'm always worried about getting banned. My number one fear growing up, because you're always struggling to like, you know, the rat race with the bills and keeping up with everything, is always like, I hope I make enough money for my life that like I don't run out of money before I die, and then I'm like homeless. So that constant like like that was always like a thing. Like, okay, I need to keep making money. I can't fall behind too much. I was like, I have to keep making money. So hopefully I die before I run out of money, or whatever. That was like a thing or whatever. And I noticed it even when I look at my savings account. I'm always thinking like, okay, I've got this much. If I lived off this much a year, I could live for like 6 years. Maybe. Okay, yeah. Like I kind of like do that mental math still or whatever. But I guess now it's more I'm concerned about getting permaban from everything. So I need to have some level of savings. Save that. Man.
Yeah. Once you start making all that money, you realize how quickly, like, oh, I understand how these people lost their money. Because the first time you get it, you're like, I have no idea what to do with this.
True.
I'm like, I have no idea. I'm just not spending it because I don't want to get this and then be the fucking loser who lost it all immediately fucking buying Gucci bags or something retarded.
Yeah, I always consider myself like pretty financially responsible, but even just by accident because I just don't usually buy much shit. But I remember I think it was the first full-time year I was streaming, I made $100,000. And before this, I was carpet cleaning and I was making maybe 18 to 24,000 a year. Really shit money, horrible. Okay, and I just remember thinking like, dude, I'm getting paid so much. I have infinite money. It was not infinite. Okay, I blew through all of that the first year, and I didn't have any money saved for taxes. Like it was really astounding to me. Like, holy fuck, how can you waste so much money so quickly? I'm getting paid $8,000 a month. It's impossible that I'm like running out of money. But I totally see like $1 million can go very, very, very quickly if you're being a dumb fuck.
Yeah. One of the weirdest things, I did this for the first time last week, is I went on a website to go like buy something. And I didn't immediately, like I remember I clicked on the sale section and I was looking at everything on sale and I was about to just click off the website and I'm like, oh wait, let me go check out what's on the regular section because I think I can afford it now. And I just started looking at stuff that wasn't on sale and I felt guilty.
Why do you feel guilty?
I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. like even though I have the cash, like I was like, I think it's the way I was raised and the way I've lived my whole life. I have never bought anything that wasn't on sale.
Oh, sure.
If I look at it like a sweater, and I see like $80, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Do I look like a retard? Like, do you think I'm gonna buy that? Who buys this shit, right? Like that's how I think in my head. I remember one time I was gonna buy these shoes, these Adidas Puma, what are they called? Sambas. All right, they're Adidas Sambas, my favorite shoes. Okay, they normally retail at about like $120. If I don't see them on sale around 75, I refuse to buy them. Refuse. Like to me, like I'm allergic to it, right? I can afford to buy thousands of them, and I still can't do it. And so I feel like when they say like, "Oh man, you got a poor man's mentality," I'm, "Oh yeah. I think I got that. I think I got that." And the only saving grace I have is I just refuse to spend it so I can't lose it that way stupidly. But I also know I have to be smart about it at some point and learn about investments and long-term and Roth IRAs and all this. I have to learn about it eventually because it can't just sit there in case of inflation or whatever. But in my head, I just can't justify buying anything.
Sure. Yeah. I think I've gotten largely over that, thankfully, but yeah, I know the feeling. Even like my car, like I wanted a nice car that I have a lot of fun with or everything. Like I went with like a $40,000 car instead of the, the $150,000 streamer car or whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay, I like this car.
Yeah. What's a purchase you did? You're like, oh yeah, this shit was worth it.
I really like my car. $40,000 is a Focus RS. It's a nice car. It's fun. It's cool. Does what it's supposed to do. I might get something nice in the future, but I was really happy. That was probably my biggest.
I'm surprised. I thought you'd be like a Tesla, bro.
No.
What? You don't want to be part of the future and fucking drive the what are they, electric cars or some shit?
Yeah, when we all go to Mars, okay, I'll be on that future. All right.
Real talk. That shit's amazing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not somebody who gets hyped up over like new technologies. I got in a Tesla because the girl was driving me around. It was fantastic. And the first time I got in, I'm like, all right, where do you go? And she just hit the pedal and moved. And I was like, bitch, when did the engine turn on?
Yeah, the noise is the biggest.
Noise. And it threw me off so bad. I said, this is not real. Just you don't even realize that cars make noise until it doesn't. And then you're like, something's not right. My brain does not compute. So,
or it feels like you're in like one of those like little Tykes like go-karts, or it's like this. It can't even be a real car. Like this is just. It almost feels wrong. Yeah.
The acceleration was insane. It went from 0 to 40, and like I was like, what? And it didn't make noise. I remember it registered so powerfully in my head. It was like so vivid for me because my brain immediately started firing off, like, what's wrong, what's going on. So that's the first time I realized, like, oh, this shit's for real. Otherwise, I don't know anything about Teslas. I don't know if they're good or bad, or if they're worth the price tag. But that one trick blew my mind. That's how much of a loser I am.
Here, I don't know if you ever had a conservative mindset growing up. Maybe I did, because I was literally a conservative. Something that I noticed as I get more and more wealthy is when I was poorer, I was very much like a personal responsibility, you were the master of your own destiny kind of person. Like, that's just like the view that I took of everything and of everybody. And as I got more and more wealthy, this is very paradoxical. I started to feel that way, way, way less, where it's like, I can afford to make so many more mistakes. There are so many parts of my life that are measurably improved. There's so many parts of my child's life that are improved, not because of anything that he fucking did, but just because of how wealthy his dad is. And it made me look at like people's positions in society a lot differently. When I was a carpet cleaner, I was like the most rugged individual in the world. Like, I'm working fucking 80 hours a week, 13-day stretches, every other Sunday off. Like, this is my life. I'm going to do this. Like, I'll do what I need to do, blah, 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 blah. And this is just how life is. And then now that I'm wealthier, it's like, God damn, like, I go to coffee shops and there are, like $10 billion of net worth of individuals inside and 2 homeless dudes on the outside begging for change. Like, there has to be something different here. Like, this is so fucked. It's actually so unreal. It's getting wealthier made me feel a little bit less. I guess I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Like, once you get it, you realize it just accumulates. One of the weird things about making money and being rich, or like being famous or being known, is like, you would think it comes with a lot more responsibilities, but oddly enough, it comes with a lot of privileges. Like, you just get free shit. You get free shit sent to you all the time. Oh, yeah,
that you don't even need, I
don't even need. I get sponsors sending me products all the time. Like, oh, yeah, sponsor. And sometimes I don't even do it. I just take them and I re-gift it. Like, I don't even have to buy gifts anymore. It's just
I gave Melina a ton of shit. Skill Series is like, do you want to try a keyboard? And I'm like, okay, fine, fucking send it. I just like gave it to him. He was like, here you go. Yeah, do that shit.
Yeah. I gave this girl a vibrator. She's like, oh, you're so fucking thoughtful. And I was like, no, Lilo. some company named Lilo. I didn't say anything. I just, sure. I'm like, yeah, I was thinking about you. Just a bunch of stuff that I just get for free. And I'm like, oh, okay. Or here's another one. You probably don't give a shit about this, but I go out. I like to go to clubs. I like to go out dancing and shit. I get it for free. I get free drinks. People always want me there. And I'm like, hey,
going out and getting free drinks. That actually something would be fun, but okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I be getting free stuff all the time. People want to invite me to stuff, or they want to get me meals. Yo, a meal. I'm like, damn. Who would have thought that when I get more resources, I have to spend less?
Yeah. Everything becomes easier. Yeah. And every problem becomes a lot easier too. One big shift is thinking rather than in terms of money, thinking in terms of time. Right. I think when you're poor, you're trying to trade as much time as you possibly can to earn money, because all you can do is work more. And then the wealthier you get, you're trying to figure out, like, how can I spend more money to get more time? Like, where can I allocate money to get myself more? There's like an interesting flip of that dynamic.
Yeah. Well, don't you have employees now?
Yeah, of course. So that I can save time. Yeah.
That's it. That's exactly why you hire people. I did all the editing for the YouTube channel before. Now I have somebody who works for me. I pay their bills. I'm very happy the fact that, like, the money goes to them and they're paid well. And for me, it gives me a lot more flexibility to do other shit that I'd rather be doing. Same thing with the research. I hired a researcher for certain things. I'm like, perfect, fantastic. So that kind of stuff just gives you a lot more flexibility. I have more time to go see my mom, see my friends, see my family. So it's a weird thing. But what you said earlier, you said, do you feel like when I was poor, I was more conservative, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, and then as I made more money, did I realize that, like, I was just kind of like circumstance and luck? Is that fair?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
I didn't get that from getting money. I actually had that from, like, a different experience. In my neighborhood, there's a lot of us who, like, grew up kind of together, and then over time I realized, like, a lot of us ended up in completely different places.
Yeah.
And some of them, like, was, like, really tragic. One guy ended up joining ISIS.
Jesus.
And you just grow up with him and you know him. But then I came to find out the story afterwards, like the area he was in all the time and the people he was around all the time. He bought into it, you know. And it's a really sad story, but it made me realize, like, circumstances wise, like, thankfully I had a family like mine, even though it wasn't perfect. Like, it gave me a lot of good things. But him, you know, his family circumstance and, like, how focus they made him on religion and how they try to push him towards it. And he ended up joining, and like, he was all over the news, and find out he died. And that's when I realized like, oh shit, I didn't pick my family or my circumstance. Like, I just lucked out. I could have been born in his family.
Yeah.
And I could have gone down the exact same path. So that's when it made me realize that there's a lot of things that are completely outside of my control that have kind of contributed to my place. And I think, like most things in life, it's a mixture of your own efforts and then a mixture of luck. But one thing that we can't deny is that those who walk their own path traditionally end up getting luckier over time than those who choose to stand still and do nothing.
Probably,
I think you would also agree with that, right? It's
yeah, but there's just a lot of people walking their own paths that end up in ruin that we never see. We only hear the success stories, is what I always caution people about.
Yeah, don't they have that? Isn't it like survivor bias or some shit?
Survivorship bias, yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah,
because because people will always look at me. It was so easy to use my life kind of as a conservative example because I failed college and, had a kid and everything was fucked. And then I threw the free market, blah, 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 blah. But like the reality is that like, if I would have been born like 3 years earlier or 3 years later, my life would have been fucked. It would have been over. Or maybe it would have been different in a completely different way. But like everything was just so lucky in terms of how everything lined up in my life that it looks like a success story and I earned it and blah, blah, blah. Sure. But like the technologies were around at the right time. The software and the hardware was just at the right point. The internet and the culture was just at the right point. I just happened to be playing the first game that was like the biggest game on Twitch. Like everything lined up like so perfectly for me.
I mean, listen, there's a bunch of IG models who probably have to admit that they would just be housewives if they were born 40 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to get a model, career modeling. No, bitch, nobody trying to see your fat ass. Just get back in there, right? Yeah. But today, we got curvy ladies doing their thing. A lot of people can't because the market allows for a lot more people to have flexibility, upward mobility. And I think that's one thing that we have to give current society like credit for, is that within a Western context, there's a lot of opportunity for upward mobility, irrespective of race, gender, creed, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like today compared to 40, 50 years ago. And I could say this for most artistic endeavors, whether it be music, whether it be like executive positions, whether it be athletics or whatever it might be. There's a lot more upwards mobility. So I think that is something that we should acknowledge when we talk about the state of today's society and whatnot.
Yeah, something really interesting. When I go online, everybody shit talks the gig economy. Are you familiar with that term?
Yeah,
everybody shit talks the gig economy, but the few people that I've met in real life that do gig work full time actually super like it. And I'm a little bit envious of their work experience compared to what I was doing for carpet cleaning. Like I know a few people that do, they Uber and they Uber Eats and they only work like Thursday through Sunday. And they don't make like a fuck ton of money, but they make enough for their apartment. They live in major cities. They're like decently happy. They do some things. They're not living a luxurious life, but they're their own boss. They get to work on their own time. If they want to take a break, they can do it. Like they can do whatever. And I'm like, damn, like this is way better than when I worked for $5.25 an hour at McDonald's or whatever. Like it seems like a way cooler idea. Not to say that it's perfect or whatever, but yeah, it's just something I noticed.
I mean, the lack of job security is a real thing, but
for sure,
I would argue that I would rather have a lack of job security than work for a boss I can't fucking stand in an environment I can't hate and with hours I think are trash. Like there's definitely something to be said about that. And if you've never worked in an environment that is absolutely the worst, then you don't know how good it is to be in the gig environment. I know because I've also done the gig stuff. So with dance or with stand-up comedy for 5-6 years was just gigs. I would do corporates. I would do a bunch of different things on my own time. Even though I would go do a set and I'd get paid $25, I would really enjoy that. My work that I put in, I wrote at home. I went up on stage. I delivered the jokes. I got paid. Even though the amount was small, the labor felt meaningful. I saw a direct correlation between the effort I put in and the return on investment. And that means something to people. I think that's why a lot of people who work in rural towns and stuff like that really value their lifestyle, because they know that the labor that they put into their lands, when they get a harvest, they see it tangibly. When I'm working at a 9-to-5 for the government, which I used to do, you know one thing that really offended me?
What?
I would be at work for an 8-hour shift. I would get all my work done in 3 hours. And my boss would get upset because I was chilling. And I was like, what do you want me to do? He says, look busy. And I remember those words for like the rest of my life. But he said, just look busy. And someone else came up, he said, you're not supposed to do your work fast. Clock in, clock out. And that's when I realized I couldn't do it. Because they didn't value me. They valued my time there more than anything. right? That was like a primary concern of them. So I realized me as an individual, I was just like a cog in their machine. So that's why I think I lost interest. And so when I look at the gig economy, I'm like, of course you're going to love that. Of course you're going to love that, because we're not just robots. We need that kind of emotional fulfillment.
The hourly work aspect is, yeah, definitely something that was always very strange to me. You could always tell the difference between like the kids that were working jobs versus the adults, because kids are always trying to like finish all the side work as quickly as possible so you can go home. And it's like, motherfucker, I got bills to pay. Okay. I don't need to rush. Okay. I need to stay here as long as fucking possible, because one, you motherfuckers pay overtime and I love that shit. And two, because I want to get a bigger paycheck. But yeah, you'll notice like the teens and shit, or people that just have like a side job, like, oh yeah, like I can work for 2 hours tonight and go home. Like, I'm not going to drive to work for 2 fucking hours. What the fuck would I do that? Right. You're giving me like a 6-hour shift at least, or like, I'm not even gonna bother coming in. Fuck this shit. But the idea of like, it was weird because you're like disincentivized to get your work done quickly, or to work hard or fast, because like I'm getting paid by the hour. I'm not getting paid by the table. You know, like fuck.
Yeah, yeah. And also standing out can be a bad thing in a lot of workplaces.
Because you can fuck it up for everybody else if you're not careful.
Yeah, you create a bad relationship with your other workplace. Oh, he's brown nosing. He's doing too much. Now we got to step it up. Yeah. Right. Or something else that also happens is like sometimes they don't want you, your boss may not want you to be doing a bunch of extra shit because they're just trying to look like they're getting their paycheck, right? So when you start doing more, they're like, wait, well, why isn't the boss doing it? Because their boss is asking questions. So I was so shocked how much a lot of these environments like reward mediocrity. It really blew me away. Like, it sounds counterintuitive, but especially within a governmental context, they love mediocrity. They do not want you to excel. They don't want you to go above and beyond. If you do, it actually hampers your... That blew my mind, that realization. How fucking ass backwards that is. That government thrives on being inefficient.
I feel what you're saying. Just from my very limited personal experience, though, that is definitely not unique to the public sector. That like private sector can be more or less the same. Because like if you start... Fuck, there were things where like when I first got there, I went above and beyond in a few ways, and it caused a lot of trouble. Because for all the same reasons that you just mentioned, you know, like if you find out that one employee can do this much work this quickly, well then everybody's expectations are going to increase and everybody's hours are going to decrease. Or, you know, supervisors are going to get upset at you because you're throwing off the balance of shifts, or different expectations for workers are created. Or sometimes you could even negatively impact different customer expectations, right? Like we worked at like a little cafe, right? It wasn't like a full blown, like, you know, sit down restaurant with a check at the table and everything. It was just like a little cafe or whatever. But because I was always like a really good customer service worker, I would go around and check up on tables and stuff. And I remember this is like on like week 2 of my job, like, oh, is everything okay? Do you need blah, blah, blah? And customers really appreciated that. And they super loved that. And we started getting complaints like the 3rd week I was working there, that like the servers were like not checking up on them, or like, you know, doing like, some people thought that like, oh, I thought they were going to come and do this, and I had to walk up to the counter instead. And then people found out that like, oh, I was checking up on tables, and I got my ass chewed for that. It's like, well, when you do something nice for a customer, they don't see it as something nice. It becomes the new expectation. Right? So the first time you do it, it's nice, but every time past that, it's expected. And when other servers aren't doing it, now you've created a problem for them, because even though they're technically doing their job, customers see them as lacking in their job, you know? So there's like a lot of weird dynamics at play there when it comes to like, working, I guess. Yeah,
which is so different than how we operate now. Because you have to imagine, if your editor is on top of everything and editing things super fast for you, you're not like, oh, fucking loser, slow down with your editing. You're just like, oh, this is dope. All right, we'll take some days off or whatever. I'll still get paid the same. So it's such a contrast between what you were describing with the servers and how you experience life now. Because in your case, I'm pretty sure you value efficiency, don't you?
Me?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? I mean,
in terms of your employees and how they work, you value the fact that they're being super efficient.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the employee, but sure.
Oh, I don't know what that means, but sure.
Well, so like for instance, like some people I'll pay hourly just because I expect like I mean, I hope they're efficient, but I just expect, so like my subreddit guy is paid hourly to do work, and I would expect like about like an hour a day, I think, of him to work, and he's paid accordingly. But like my YouTube editor gets a percentage of my revenue, so I mean, he can work however the fuck he wants. He's getting, you know, paid basically as much as I am because of the splitting in revenue. So yeah, I mean, I guess if they're efficient, it's their time, so fuck it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Percentage makes sense. I just operate everything on the salary. I'm like, hey, man, this is how much you get monthly, so just keep working, and we're going to do it this way. And I think for them, it gives them a lot of job security, because even in months where we're not uploading, they still get paid the same amount, so I'm always good with that. But percentage space is interesting. Might be something I'll consider in the future. When you think about percentages of hey, man, That could be a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, it is. This guy's making like fucking 4 or 5 times a fucking Australian fucking salary or whatever, for sure. But that the way that I view it is that, like, I want us to be in the same boat. I want you to feel like your success is tied to my success, and I want you.
It's a great incentive. It's a great incentive.
What do you mean? Wait, what?
It's a great incentive when someone is.
Oh, I thought you said it was very offensive. I got confused for a second. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying it's a great incentive because they're getting a cut. The harder they work, the more that they get a return. So there's also an emotional and a reward aspect to it that's really tangible.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's dope, man. Good. That's a good business strategy. What are conversations you're not going to entertain? Like people are like, I want to debate you on this. What are you like? Nah, I'm passing.
I've opened up now to where I'll have most conversations. I feel pretty comfortable with how I'm able to talk to most people now. So I'll do most stuff. If it's going to be like a hardcore conspiracy theory, though, I'll want to do some prep first. But otherwise, I feel pretty comfortable talking about most stuff now.
You're a better man than me. Is it just because it's content, or is it because like you find it always generally engaging?
Sometimes it's fun, it's interesting, but it's also more like a. I guess my content has always been like we should be able to talk to each other about things, and if there's a topic that I feel strongly enough about, I should be able to defend it against most people. So.
No way you feel that strongly about all these topics. There's no way.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, there's going to be some things. Like if somebody wants to debate me about whether or not Britney Spears was replaced by a cyborg in 2004, like I'm probably not going to care about that.
Why do I feel like that's a real suggestion you received?
It's probably isn't there some? Who's the celebrity that people say that happened with? Fuck. That's not like that crazy of a conspiracy theory because there is. Who am I thinking of? Someone in chat will say it. Oh, is it Avril Lavigne? People think that she died and was replaced with like a lookalike or something. And there's like you Google that, there's like a well-known conspiracy theory about shit like that. Wait, do you feel this way? Uh-oh.
Well, Avril Lavigne, like I'm just traumatized because I know her songs, but I don't know how I know them. Like every time I hear her name, I'm like, so complicated.
Okay, I think of Skater Boy, but okay.
Hey, listen. Avril Lavigne, I don't know what it is, but every time, he's just a skater boy. She said, see you later, boy. Like, I don't know why I know these songs, but there's just certain, like, white pop artists that I just know their tracks and it triggers the fuck out of me.
Oh, yeah. Wait, have you ever heard rock music before?
Yo, are you trying to insult me?
Do you know what Metallica is?
Yeah, I know Metallica.
Do you think hold
up. I was in the military, bro, surrounded by nothing but white people. What do you think they made me listen to?
Shit.
Fucking Iron Maiden, Metallica.
Yeah. Do you think the videos online of like black person hears Queen for the first time? Do you think that those reactions are real? Are there like a lot of? Do you think so? There are a lot of black people that have never heard like a rock song 100%. Before?
I'm gonna tell you something. Okay.
Yeah, hit me up.
Is Queen the one with the gay dude?
Yeah, Freddie Mercury, right?
The only reason I know that is because of the movie.
Okay.
I don't even know a single Queen song. Here, let me rephrase. Mm-hmm. I know a Queen song. I just don't know that I know it.
Yeah, you'll hear it and be like, oh yeah, I know this song.
Yeah, I've heard somebody. Like there's just certain songs. Like here's a song that you would think most people know. Okay. Mm-hmm. What is it? It's like a super sad, depressing song, and it has like a really sharp note at the beginning. It's like gang gang, gang gang. What is it? It's like a sad. Oh my days!
Creep?
Yes!
By Nine Inch Nails?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, Creep. Yes, thank you. Okay.
Okay.
I didn't know that was a big deal. Okay? Mm-hmm. Until I heard it. And then I was like, oh, this shit's fire. Okay. But I know every person that grew up in my neighborhood has never heard of this song.
Oh, shit.
Never heard that song.
All right, I'm gonna milk you for content in the future. Then we're gonna have I'll make more of those. Black person hears extremely popular white person song for the first time, and then you have to like cry and stuff, and you're like, oh my god, this is so cool! I can't believe I missed this my whole life.
Okay, I'm not gonna give you no great reactions, but I will concede something. Okay,
yeah.
And this is something that I think a lot of like black folks would probably concede as well. Is a lot of that shit's good.
Sure.
It's like really good. Like a lot of people are like, oh, that shit's dweeby. Like, no. If we heard it, like, oh, I could rock with this. We won't probably like love it, but I'll probably fuck with it. I remember the first time I listened to Iron Maiden, I was like, oh, I get it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So.
Oh my god, yeah. Hold on, I'm sorry. Creep is not by Nine Inch Nails, by Radiohead. My bad. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's all good.
I fucked up. I almost lost my white card there. A lot of people got really mad at me, Chad. Sorry, go ahead.
Yo, that song is like important to white people. Y'all lose your minds when y'all hear that shit.
Sure.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that, and also Eminem's "Lose Yourself." I didn't know that was like special.
One. That's it.
Yeah, like.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I would argue it's like one of the most important like top 5 white people songs for sure.
Yeah.
to like white people. Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
like one of the fucking. It's a really good. That's a really good song.
I'm gonna tell you something that you may not believe.
Wait. Okay. Be careful. But go ahead.
Black people never play that shit.
Oh, I can believe that probably. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I've never in my entire existence on this planet seen a black dude in a car and he was playing fucking Eminem's Lose Yourself or singing that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I used to do these comedy clubs called Absolute Comedy in Canada. There's like a slew of them. And before every show, they play Eminem's Lose Yourself 5 minutes before the show starts. Everyone's sitting down. I kid you not, I've never seen old women, young women, dudes, everybody of all ages just rapping the lyrics. Like, I'm talking about like old women in Crocs singing that shit. So it just dawned on me how important it was to y'all.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big appeals of Eminem early on, was that he was able to draw like basically teenage and suburban white kids into rap, because before then it was exclusively the domain of black people.
Yeah. What were we talking about just before we got into Creep?
I had asked you if like, because there are reaction videos online of like black person listens to Bohemian Rhapsody for the first time or whatever. And I was like, is this really real? Are there really this many black people that I've never heard of? Like,
oh, is that the one where he does a bunch of noises?
Maybe.
Is that the one? I feel like that's the one, right? Is that the one where
would
they
you guys
just
say
make a
that's
bunch of
Bohemian Rhapsody? He's just a poor boy from a small family. That one? Is that Bohemian Rhapsody, guys? I think it is, right? I don't know. I actually don't like Queen that much.
Yeah. That shit's trash. I'm not gonna lie to you. That shit sucks.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. That shit sucks. Every time I hear that, I'm like, man, why is he making so much noise? Like, bro, sing. But hey, that's just me. Like,
okay, hold on. I'm not a big fan of Queen. Okay, but Freddie Mercury is an amazing singer. So be careful. Okay, but.
Hey, bro, listen. I swear to God, the only thing I know about Freddie Mercury is he did the blah 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 song, and he's gay. That's the only two things.
Well, you also know there are other songs. You know that he did the "We Will Rock You." That shit. You know that one, right?
Oh, the song that they play at like hockey games.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like that,
I'm just saying you've heard of it. Okay, I'm not saying you don't like it.
Like, here's an artist, okay, that I really fuck with. That like I would pay money to go see. Phil Collins. I mean, bro, that
what
nigga
the fuck?
is unbelievable. Phil Collins is a genius. Okay, the first time I heard "In the Air Tonight," that shit was gangster. Okay,
Interesting.
I could feel it. Oh, I was like, oh shit, and then cuckoo. Oh shit, that shit was so strong. The drop, yo, I actually lost my mind the first time I heard "In the Air Tonight." Like, he went a full 2 fucking minutes and then the beat dropped. I couldn't believe it.
Okay.
Have you heard that song?
Yeah, Phil Collins is the champion of white people music. So yes, I listen to all the Phil Collins. Absolutely.
No, I'm telling you, black folks fuck with Phil Collins.
Okay.
I'm telling you, black folks fuck with Phil Collins. Phil Collins gets a pass.
Okay.
No. Phil Collins gets a one. Hey, you know, yeah. Hold up. Let me just look this up. Oh yeah, Another Day in Paradise. Yo, get the fuck out of here. Phil Collins is definitely getting an invite to the cookout.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, he gets a pass. Queen, nah. Queen not fucking with Queen.
Well, if you're looking for a bridge to rock music, Phil Collins was the drummer in Genesis, and then later a singer in Genesis as well. So you get that British prog rock. You're one step away from Pink Floyd. There you go.
What is Genesis?
Just old British bands, I think. Don't worry about it. You know what Pink Floyd is, right?
Yeah. I've heard that name a lot of times. I know people like wearing their shirts.
Yeah, true. That's usually all people know about them. and like.
Yeah. Hold up.
Yeah.
Hold up. What's a famous Pink Floyd song? Put me on.
Like you've heard like Money, or Money. We'll get whatever. I don't even know the lyrics to it. You've heard these songs before, right?
Oh yeah. I could fuck with this. This got a funky ass bass. Listen, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I'm big on funk music. All right, so you play some George Benson. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll start losing my mind. You play, I could fuck with this. Oh, this is nice.
Okay.
Yeah. I could mess.
Glad I could introduce you to Pink Floyd.
Yeah. If you were talking to Preach, for example, Preach is like a culture nerd. Like if you talk to Preach about music, this dude's like an encyclopedia. It's actually frightening. He knows white people music, black folks. He knows like Rastafarian music. He's crazy. So he'd be putting me on stuff. But there's a bunch of people I missed out on, like Pink Floyd and Queen and all those other stuff that I never ended up looking up. How did you grow up on them?
I just grew up listening to like dad rock in the car because that's like what my parents would put on, or my dad would put on, I guess. And then when I was in high school, I had a friend online and she hooked me up with a lot of like something called prog rock. And then that was kind of how I started getting into other like non-music I couldn't find on the radio, basically.
The kind of music you listen to now?
No, I melt my mind today on fucking lo-fi hip hop and shit, but sometimes I listen to like a little bit. Yeah.
What's that?
It's just boring beats that drone on in the background. It's hard to explain. You've heard some before, but
okay. Why do you like that shit?
I just like the chord progressions. There are just certain types of musical sounds that I appreciate. I'm like, oh, these are cool.
Okay. Are you like a new jabez kind of dude?
Yeah, that was New Jabez. New Jabez.
I don't know how to say his name.
No, it's New Jabez. Sometimes I call him New Jabes to trigger people, but sometimes I trigger people so much I forget what I'm actually saying.
I thought I fucked up the name. I was going to believe you too. New Jibs.
New Jibs, yeah. That would be his stuff would all be considered like basically I would say like lo-fi hip hop or like the advent, the originator of that genre of music. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm not really familiar with the genre. I know like I was always into the boom bap. So for me, like folks like Dilla, producers like Dilla were always like some people I really fuck with because I like the sound of the kick and the snare. So like for me, like that kind of almost grounded pocket. Really, I really enjoyed that. But I didn't. So New Jabez is like somebody I'd heard just because I'd watched a lot of anime. And so he would do soundtracks for things like Samurai Champloo and things like that. And so he was telling me through interviews, I found out that his influences was people like Dilla. So that might be stuff that you're actually interested in if you're into lo-fi stuff.
Okay, I'll consider it.
Put some. Okay, it seems like your viewers also know that shit. All right, I'm not crazy. Good. I don't even know how we got onto music. We were just popping that out of nowhere with the. Yeah, once we get trail off on something else, I can never remember where we started.
Black people reacting to rock videos online. You were in the military. You listen to a lot of white people music. I don't think we were in any specific direction. That's just kind of what we had settled on for a little bit.
You know, when you hold on to something, you're like, I'll come back, I'll circle back, and then you try to circle back, like, oh, I can't.
Yeah?
Oh, no, it's all good.
I usually, in psychology, we remember a lot of things through associations that we don't remember. So if you revisit prior stimuli, sometimes you'll remember it even if it seems totally unrelated. That's why sometimes when we're talking and you say, I don't remember what I said, I'll just start repeating shit that you said before, and then sometimes it jogs your memory. Yeah, that's just, yeah.
You're very good at that, by the way. It's actually super impressive.
It's a really helpful technique I learned, yeah. Because if you just start repeating shit, here's like a little, this is super fascinating. Our memory works in so many cool ways. If I give you a list of 30 words and tell you to remember all 30, and they're not related at all, okay? If I give you a list of 30 words and I give you about 2 minutes or 1 minute to memorize them and then have you write all of them down again, I think most people can get to like, I think it's like 13 to 15 words. Maybe they'll remember 13 or 15 words. I think at the upper part. But if I give you a list of 30 words and then I give you 30 connector words, and they don't even have to be related. So it might be like camera 4, and it might be like towel chair. Like they're not related at all. They're just random words or whatever. Or it might be like monitor run. If I give you a minute to remember these with the connector word, if I take away all of the original words and I just give you the totally unrelated connector words, you can get like 28, 29, 30 words. You'll remember them all just seeing the connector, even though it's not related at all. It's a really interesting like memory thing for how we like remember information and connect everything.
Yeah. Do you think that also works between like sounds and objects in that like I know for me, like when I'll play a video game that I haven't played in like 12 years, I'll remember the soundtrack or the music that I was listening to while I played that game. Or come back like a vivid memory.
Sometimes even like a sound effect out of nowhere, you'll hear something like, wait a second. Was that the fucking jumping sound of Donkey Kong 64? You'll hear some shit like that, yeah. And then that can reconnect other memories as well, right? Yeah. Because the way that you remember things. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a big web of connected stimulus, basically.
Sorry, you're cutting out.
Wait, can you hear me? Hello?
I can't hear you right now. You still there?
Yeah, well, it seems pointless to answer the question if you can't hear me, so. Hello?
Okay, now I can hear you. Yeah, you were saying it turns into a web?
Yeah, the way that we remember things is through like associated stimulus or stimuli, basically, yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to that kind of that connectivity, where was I going with this? Okay. When it comes to that kind of connectivity, do you think there's also a link between let's say, traumatic events and those same kind of stimuli?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. That's why you'll get like PTSD responses to seemingly random things sometimes. Yeah.
I think that's why I have a really good ear for samples. Like sometimes I'll listen to a song, I'm like, I know the sample. And I always wondered how I had a good ear for samples, but I realized like there's just certain songs that I associate with visual memories. So when I'll hear a new song that sampled that very same song or that same thing, I'm like, wait, why am I having a memory pop up that I've never heard the song before? But then I'll realize there's a sample that's like come from something else. And I think that for me is like very, very strong. And then I have to rack my brain to figure it out. But I think that's where I struggle. But I can always tell, like, oh, I've heard this sample somewhere else before. And in hip hop specifically, like sampling is so big and so strong. It's like it's everywhere. Like they'll just sample everything from the 70s or the 80s and turn it into something new. I remember I was listening to, you know who Jeremiah is?
No clue, but go for it.
It's like an R&B artist, but he did the song with birthday songs like birthday sex, girl, you know, It sounds retarded. But
no, I know exactly the song you're talking about. I heard this song a lot. I didn't know that was him, but okay, go for it. Yeah.
What did somebody play? Did you play that in the bedroom?
My kid's mom used to play it a lot on the radio, and she would joke about it or whatever. It was like a joke that we had or whatever. We'd like sing it to each other before fucking each other. It was like stupid as fuck. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See that strong memory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's actually an old song. I think it's like, is it Lenny Williams? Because I Love You. Okay.
Okay.
This is a song from, I think it's got like 1972. If you go listen to the original, it's so weird. If you go listen to the original, I don't know what it was about music in that era. It's like the most dramatic love song you've ever heard in your life. I'm talking about this man's like screaming and he's like talking on the record and it dawned on me like, oh, these people must have been on the craziest drugs.
Yeah.
Possibly when they made this. Because there's no way that artistically somebody gave him direction to make that song. And anybody who's listening right now, go look up "Cause I Love You" by Lenny Williams. And also another thing I noticed about like differences between that era and this era. Getting on music for some reason. I realized that like when they used to compose songs back then, it felt like they'd take 3-4 songs and stick it into one. Whereas now everything has like a formula. You have your hook, you have your 2 verses, your hook repeats 2-3 times, and it's a rap. Whereas this one, like the bridge is completely different. And then the end has completely different chords and different instrumentation. And it's just a complete, like you really feel like they stuck multiple songs into one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I absolutely jive with this. And it's one of the reasons why I hated a lot of old music sometimes.
Really?
Here's like a totally random thing. Have you ever heard a song like Don't Fear the Reaper?
No.
How does it go? God damn it. I can't even remember the words.
Mona Najib?
No.
Blue Oyster.
Yeah, Blue Oyster Cult, that band, right?
Okay.
But this is like a song where it's like there's like a central part to it, and it's actually so sick. And this could be like a sick as fuck, like post-rock build. Like this could be an awesome song. But the first part and the third part have nothing to do with it. And I hate both of them. They sound like trash. It's garbage, old man, boring as fuck music. But this middle section could be like a song in like fucking Death Note or like Animals, like some crazy post-rock band could like do a lot with this. I'm like, what the fuck? Or I notice a lot like Zeppelin, the Stairway to Heaven shit or whatever, right? That opening guitar shit, I love it. I super love those chords and that progression or whatever. And then when they hit like the bridge or whatever, that dun da 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 dun dun whatever, I hate it. I don't give a fuck about it anymore. I don't give a fuck about the song. Now it got super boring to me. I'm not saying, now these are just my subjective feeling. I'm not saying like they got good or they got bad or whatever. But I noticed that for like a lot of older songs, the structure was a bit different and that you were getting a lot of different stuff in one song, which I guess sometimes is cool. But if you really liked some parts, then you got kind of fucked because like, oh damn, I hate the rest of the song, you know?
But you know what? I think that's kind of the beauty of that music in that era is that like that journey to get there is really important for the artists as they're like playing through the strings and the progressions.
Sure,
because I think artistically speaking, there's something really beautiful about you only loving really one portion because it speaks to their progression through that song. It's like a comedian set. It's very rare that you're going to love the whole 1 hour set or the whole bit, but if there's a couple of punchlines that stick with you, then they've done their job. If they got it, and that little chord progression that you talk about when it comes to Stairway to Heaven is all time famous. I'm talking about like I go to salsa events and they got a salsa version of just that chord progression that is fire. So I think what I really liked about that era of music is like they took a lot of chances, right?
Yeah.
And
before stuff gets hardcore commercialized. Yeah.
yes. And then the formula kicks in. I remember I was like reading up on this article and it was about like the 90s and how they had their formula for pop song. They knew exactly like what kind of sounds to do. That's why like pop is necessarily popular music. It has a formula to it. And so there's something I really do appreciate about the era that just before that, because you can tell how much liberty they had when it came to creating music. And it's like it's rare nowadays that I get to hear a song and feel like it's an experience.
Same thing with all art, unfortunately, now, right? Same thing with movies and everything, right? People, even video games, people tend to play it a lot safer to get their return on investment more reliably.
Yeah, I think that's a conversation that we had before in terms of like the video game stuff. We talked about how like there's a little bit more of a worry about not getting your return on investment, so people follow formulas. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah. I'm a big like I fuck with house music nowadays. Like I listen to a lot of like music from South Africa or different parts of Western Africa. There's a lot of house music that comes out of there. It's actually the most popular genre of music over there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but people don't know that. people don't know that. The perception of house music is like David Guetta, like it's like David Guetta. There's like 3 6 Mafia, Swedish House Mafia or something like that. But truthfully, there's a variety of house music all over the world. But it's one of the few genres I can still enjoy, which I feel like still has a lot of liberty nowadays.
Sure.
So it's like remember when you told me about indie games?
Yeah. That's your indie games for music, basically?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You play a lot of indie games, don't you?
Fuck no. Well, actually, wait, I guess I am. Yeah, never mind. But they're boring. It's boring. It's like boring. I'd rather call you king than explain what I do in these fucking games, okay?
Hey, I'll take that.
Okay.
No, stop. Hey man, that's never gonna stop being funny. I'm not gonna front you, bro. You should do that next time. Next time you have a conversation with a black supremacist, like, "Hey, my Nubian king," you should start the conversation.
Probably gonna drop the Nubian part, but you know what? Maybe I'll keep the.
Nah, the Nubian part shows your earnest intent. Okay?
Oh, earnest intent? I'm sure.
Yeah. If you just show up on like some fucking black Israelite, have you seen those guys?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh man, I'm not gonna front you, bro. Even though they're super fucking racist, I be laughing every time I watch them. Yeah, there's just something funny about watching like 5 black dudes sitting on the corner and yelling "Death to America" to random fat people.
Yeah. Good way to trigger the fuck out of people. Yeah.
I remember one this time, this lady tried to argue. It's like, "Oh, what are you saying?" He's like, "Yah's gonna come for you. He's gonna slave you. You're gonna have a lot of babies, and then we're gonna kill you." And the woman's like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Death to America." And I don't know why. I think it's the absurdity of the whole thing. Like, it's clearly absolutely terrible. But am I broken when I find shit like that funny?
No, I mean, I find a lot of dark shit funny too, I guess. So, yeah.
It's just so absurd. I actually had it happen to me at a comedy show. I was coming out. Well, no, wasn't coming out. Before I was on stage, and this woman kept interrupting the show. And I told her, like, "Yo, can you shut the fuck up? Because I'm trying to run a show." And like after I'd already roasted her a few times, just at some point it becomes so disruptive. And eventually she kept quiet. But something about the way that she was interrupting me and the stuff that she was saying really like stuck out to me. Remember when you told me earlier, you said, have you ever talked to somebody and think they're racist, but there's nothing overtly said? But that was that with that lady.
Okay.
I get outside. She comes out to see me. And she's like, "Listen, I don't want any hard feelings between us." I'm like, "Lady, don't talk to me. Just leave. Like, you already disrupted the show and fucked it up. I don't want to talk to you." And then she just unloaded a bunch of racist shit in front of like 30 people. Like, I'm talking about monkeys and your mom deserves all this other stuff. And this is a weird reaction. I started clapping, and I got so excited.
Okay, because you.
Go ahead.
There's it's weird that I'm explaining this to you. You probably know this, but there's like an experience sometimes. I think if if you're a type of minority that's been harassed by somebody, but they're really good at like keeping it kind of hidden, and you feel crazy for bringing it up, that when they have those moments where they snap, it's actually like, thank God, now other people can see what kind of motherfucker this person is, and I don't feel crazy calling them out for it. Like that kind of feeling.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one. I was just so happy that other people could see it. Like I wasn't even concerned with the race. I'm like, I'm not crazy. Y'all see that shit, right?
Yeah.
This late, I knew it, and y'all were like, no, it's in my head. And then this bitch said it. So I was just kind of happy in that moment. But I have a lot of instances like that in my life where I'll just see really fucking terrible things that objectively most people look at like that's terrible. And I'll have like these very different adverse reactions. And I start to question myself. I don't know if I'm broken in a way or, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I wonder if you ever feel that way.
Where you have reactions and you wonder if you're what, too far off the norm, or?
Exactly. Like I'll look at terrible things and just bust out laughing sometimes. And I just worry like maybe I've just seen too many things, or it's like the comedian aspect of things. Like I don't know if I'm broken.
I figure I'm just kind of fucking weird, so I just don't think about it much. That's how I stopped trying to worry about that a long time ago. But that's just kind of how I view it. But I kind of understand what you're saying, yeah.
I get not worrying about it, but don't you ever feel like you have blinders as a result of that? It's like some of your stances that you just think are normal. Then you analyze it with a little bit of perspective. You're like, oh wait.
Yeah, for sure. I try to be super aware of that. That's something I've spent the last 5 years really thinking about. Because I used to give a lot of prescriptions for how people should live, and then I realized in my late 20s, early 30s, like, okay, hold on, I'm actually really different in terms of this or that. I need to be a little bit more careful about that. Yeah.
Right. So if you have that attitude, my question to you is, then how do you feel closed off and you're like, oh no, this is just how it is about other stuff? You don't feel the need to analyze that at all, or you just accept it and you keep pushing?
For how I'm different or whatever, how it's off, or?
Yeah. If you were able to acknowledge that certain your ideas obviously were off kilter because you had some time to have some self-reflection, why haven't you extrapolated that same kind of stance to a lot of your other things that you just accept?
I try to think about most of the things that I think about. That sounded kind of reductive. I think that because of the nature of what I do online, I'm lucky in that I have an opportunity to reflect on a lot of this because I get challenged on a lot of it. So I don't think I have as many moments like, oh wow, I really need to think about this thing, because if there's a thing that I believe or I've said before, somebody's probably grilled me on it or roasted me on it or attacked me on it at some point. So it's forced me to consider it at some point. So yeah. Did that make sense?
But do you think that's a real way to reflect in real time with thousands of people watching you and folks going back and forth with you?
No, absolutely not. But in the moments after those conversations, I'll think about I talked to this person about this thing, we talked about this, I wonder if I feel like my answer is good enough for this. I'll usually reflect back on challenging conversations for me because they'll give me things to think about.
Because you be streaming every day pretty much, right?
I try to, yeah.
So how do you have the energy to be reflective and back and forth and pondering shit during the lives with your guests and going back and forth, and then get off of it and then also have the opportunity to be reflective? I guess I just don't understand how you have time to just be with your own thoughts.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on, there are different things in my life that I can think about. I do a decent number of pretty long drives sometimes. I do a lot of thinking when I'm driving. That's a really cathartic experience for me, is usually if I have long drives, I can think about a lot of things. So I just recently drove from LA to Miami, so I had a lot of time to think on the road, and that can keep me awake and keep me occupied and driving and shit for a long time. So I'll do that.
That's good, man. I'm happy that you can do that. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a part of me that's a little envious. I feel like me even doing the YouTube stuff, people are like, oh, Abba, you should start a podcast, and I'm like, man, I already talk too much, and I always feel the need to get away from it because I feel like I can't hear my own thoughts if I don't. And if I'm too much online, or if I'm too much going back and forth or doing stuff like this or reading comments and doing things like that, I get to the end of the day and I'm like, oh, I didn't even have time to just breathe and chill and be with my own mind. So I'm impressed by your ability to do it, because I'm like, bro, you're online for 10 hours a day debating and yelling at folks. I'm like, bro, when does he ever get time to chill and think? I just, yeah. But I guess maybe your just brain functions differently, because honestly, it really is impressive, because I know I could never survive.
Sure. I think I'm lucky that I've been able to do it for a long time, so I get more practice doing it too. Yeah.
Yeah. I just hope it doesn't happen like 2 years from now that you find out, oh wait, I'm actually just all fucking broken on a million different ways. You don't realize. I just hope, because like honestly, bro, I really sometimes I'd be looking at your show. I'm like, this man's playing video games while he's just like roasting this black supremacist. The shit's mad, like, and he's like destructing. Like I don't know how you do both things. Like it's just, I'd be looking at you. I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've had a lot of time to do stuff, I guess. It's just, this is what I do.
Yeah, no, I get that. But listen, man, I won't keep more of your time. It's your Christmas celebration. I'm sure you got other folks you want to chit chat with, so I'll leave you to it.
All right,
But
well, I appreciate the talk. It's been fun.
yeah. And just before I leave, is it okay if you call me King?
Okay, King, anything for you. We've got that Nubian energy, or is it Nubian energy? That Nubian presence. Okay, I appreciate it.
Hey, man, I can get used to white dudes calling me Nubian King. I'm not going to front you. That shit is fire, bro. I mean, I liked it when my niggas said it, but it's way better when white people say it. So I think I'm going to make that my pronouns or some shit.
Gotcha. Go to fucking Seattle or some shit. You can find white people that'll like kiss your shoes and stuff, man. They're crazy out there.
Yeah, but that reparations sex don't feel right. It's a little bit too much like race playing shit. But anyways, I digress. All right, y'all have a good night, man.
All right, have a good one, man.
day.
Thanks for the chat. It's been fun.